Well, hello everybody. I want to do this part two, and it's for my international brothers and sisters, Boilermakers, and it's an international American Canadian union. Of course, it started in the States, but we're dealing with Newton Jones, the president, maybe former president of our hall. We'll see how things go. We have action from vice presidents in court in Kansas on the federal level, and I want to try to get people in layman's terms, especially my brothers and sisters, going forward. Now, the title of this video goes through a whole bunch of research items for those who wish to read and know more. I'm going to try to explain it a little more simpler. First off, the biggest things everybody needs to know, and it's the American system. It's Kansas's system. You won't find, federal or state, any justices not of Kansas or not of a Kansas bar, which means in their civics and training, they absolutely know entirely the Kansas Constitution 1861. And I'm not going to get into the details, but in the sections related to the judicial branch operating federally and state, wouldn't be a state of the Union without its constitution, like all other 50 states. That's why there's still protectorates and territories today who can't join the Union. They don't have a constitution matching what is needed to become a state, and Canadians get lost on that, especially separatists and 51st staters. But Kansas, in their judicial articles and sections, it clearly tells you what all justices, whether it's federal or state, have to be, age requirements, educational requirements, have to be of Kansas. They have to be a bar of Kansas. You find that clearly in the Constitution. Federally or state does not matter. They all must follow the state constitution. In fact, the highest authority federally is the chief judge. His name is Eric F. Melgren. He's the chief judge, federal chief judge of Kansas. Kansas citizen. He was appointed by Bush way back in the day. He's your chief judge. He's from Kansas, got his bar in Kansas, knows entirely and operates entirely under the Kansas state constitution, as well as goes with the federal constitution of the United States. I put in this video, a video 3 weeks ago. He gave a presentation in Topeka, and he gives a presentation for all the citizens of Kansas on the rule of law. I suggest all Boilermakers watch that, because this is where Newton Jones is. This is where action against him is. It's also where our international office is. Kansas City, one of the districts. There's 3 justice districts there. The importance of state governor, again, not President of the United States, not the Supreme Court of the United States, federal law, and the importance of governor. If you don't believe me, please, again, watch the video, just 3 weeks old now today, from your highest authority, Chief Judge Eric F. Melgren. He will tell you the authority of state governor in relation to executing judgments made against peoples. More, according to the Kansas State Constitution. Very important for all Boilermakers. The action on the 20th of Boilermakers showing up at the courthouse is paramount. It's in the Kansas Constitution. To get justice and to force action against Newton, You have to be there. Again, you don't have to believe me or Daryl Jason Monroe or anybody else or the VPs going against Newton right now. Go read the Kansas Constitution. And again, more, go watch the video, 3 weeks old, by the highest authority in the state of Kansas over the district court's chief judge, Eric F. Malgren. He will tell you its governor and the action of the citizens of Kansas and America. So any Boilermaker can go to Kansas on the 20th, show up in numbers. You're the force, you're the authority. That is the constitutional power of Kansas. And your highest judge tells you this. So it will be Laura Kelly and the Boilermaker members themselves who show up in Kansas on that day to see justice served against Newton Jones. That's the truth. That's the truth. Why, and there's more, and we'll go back to this video by, again, Chief Judge Eric F. Malgren, why I suggest getting a law firm from Kansas or now 3 other states, but it's not Massachusetts. And Chief Judge Eric F. Malgren shows you which 4 states is the best to use. He even shows you clear. He has a colored map and he tells you which 4 grouping with Kansas you should take law firms from when dealing with law and constitutionalism in Kansas. Federal or state does not matter. And remember the movie My Cousin Vinny. I'm going to say it in layman's terms now. So you get an Italian from the big city, New York, goes to the small community on a federal charges. And he's trying to follow law, and he has his own kind of clerk. They'll get into that. If you read the Kansas Constitution, they'll get into that. Not unlike other states of the 50. But My Cousin Vinny, he's got his girlfriend there with him. She's a great clerk, and it's a funny show, but it is the reality of the 50 states, that each of the 50 states interprets federal law in their jurisdiction. Now, we can appeal, right? Everybody knows the idea of the appeal process. Will Newton Jones be able to take his case all the way to the Supreme Court? The answer is absolutely no. And why? Because the Supreme Court of the United States of America only accepts cases on their constitutional merit. Union law in the United States of America, not Canadian law, opposite of Canadian law, there is no freedom of association protected constitutionally. In fact, there's no labor unions. Now, it's not to slam the United States of America. It's the fact that America is very, very old. The Constitution of the United States of America is much, much older than the whole labor movement, the whole idea of labor unions. Now, hear me out here. I just said labor unions, and that's what Boilermakers are. A lot of trades are. And it goes back hundreds of years, but the facts are this, folks. The only constituted and protected unions in the United States of America are those of the elite. All judges are in a union, all lawyers are in a union, all doctors are in a union. We can go on to some other elite careers. Now, all these folks have the most richest and powerful unions in the entire world. They always have. They're much older than the Constitution of the United States. Labor unions came much after the Constitution. Those unions, for all lawyers, all justices, all doctors, and we can go on and on to many elite professions, existed before the United States Constitution. In fact, they existed before many laws against labor happened. They tell everybody labor unions are commie, but it's okay for every lawyer, every justice, every doctor to have the most powerful unions in the world. You'll find all the Western countries have absolutely the largest and most powerful lawyer, justice, doctor, and we can go on, unions. They're very old, been around forever, they're very powerful, and they have a lot of money. They all do well. They have laws against labor, but not against themselves, right? They're constituted, so they're okay. So, Supreme Court only takes cases that they can pick, but they only take cases that are of constitutional significance, meaning they're written in the Constitution of the United States. Labor unions and labor turmoil will not go to the Supreme Court because they do not recognize labor unions in the Constitution. It's written nowhere. They won't hear it. Now, are there cases where unions have been sued for certain things, or states themselves have done laws or created in their constitutions? The answer is yes. Kansas, in the title here and in those instructions, I give much to read, and you will find the labor laws Kansas City is absolute about labor organizations or not labor organizations. Now remember, again, I'm going to say this is for everybody, and Boilermakers, especially the Boilermakers right now on Newton Jones. Everything put in there, and understanding that all the judges are from Kansas, got their bars in Kansas, and they're masters of their state constitution. If you're going to get legal representation, it's important to get legal representation that is a master of that. And there are 4 states. I was wrong. It's not just Kansas, even though you can read. I went into deep dive, and of course, I listened to Chief Judge Eric F. Malgren. He tells you which 4 states in the federal matters will mesh the best with Kansas and less problems. Again, I'm saying it because my cousin Vinny, sure, you can hit the federal law and say, oh, and this and that, and then the judge comes down on you because, sorry, that's your state. Maybe that works in upstate, whatever, but that don't fly here, son. And folks, I'm not saying Kansas is some hillbilly state. In fact, Kansas's district courts have won more decisions, even though you can look at Eric F. Malgren, he just got shut down in an appeal to the Supreme Court not too long ago. His sentencing, which is good for us, he's very harsh on people like Newton Jones. And you can look at the case, and it's a tax case, and it's really great on fraud. And he nails them, and he gives them a 25-year sentence. It was rescinded by the Supreme Court. Not that the person was found not guilty, it's just his sentencing was too high, 25 years. So I like this guy, I like this judge, and I like his video. I encourage everybody to watch it. If you want to learn absolutely about the federal justice system in the United States, how these district federal courts work, and the powers of state constitutions, you should watch it. You should understand why I tagged Laura Kelly, why I tagged other justices at the state level, because we will never see either any of us in this. If we all start donating, we won't ever be able to go to the Supreme Court of the United States. We can go to the federal appeals court in the state of Kansas. That's as far as either side of this could go, which is kind of a good thing, because it sounds like in Canada, Newton's got control of all the money and he can do whatever he wants, and not everybody else. In fact, as members, our dues would go to pay his legal defense by the sounds of it. And those going after him have to dig in their own pockets, and we all have to fund them. So it's not fair, it's not right. It's like a Canada got explosive in an organization. There's more instructions about laws, constitutional laws in Kansas, about organizations, about the power of the people, and I encourage everybody, read the Kansas Constitution. It's great to know the USA Constitution, but understand what we're getting into. Learn Kansas's. It's not too bad. I mean, it's way bigger. And I'm going to say this, all state constitutions are massive in size comparatively to the Constitution of the United States of America. Massively. And why is that? Because more powers belong with the 50 states than the federal government itself. All governments like to tote themselves as something impressive, but the reality is, for countries like specifically America and Russia, the power is in their regions, their states, their obelisks. That's where these countries get their tremendous power. It's in their federalism. It's the idea of dividing it out, and they've done really well with it, those two countries. And I think we can look and see over history, modern history, that advance is clear. Whether people like one side or the other or whatnot, but if you're a piggy in the middle, like Canada, literally we're right in the middle of the two. You can clearly see our system doesn't work. Theirs has worked extremely well in different ways. I'm not championing anything here. I'm just saying. But folks, Boilermakers, look at this stuff. Look at it. I truly believe that at least in these 4 group states, and again, I'm going to take the knee here. I'm not the expert, but what I'm talking about, Chief Judge Eric F. Malgren does. And he goes into it in detail, and you can look at that. Look at the color map of where you should be looking for legal representation going forward. And I'd love nothing better than to donate to something like that. I'm of little means as of late, but it's my union, and of course that's my career, and that's where I gotta draw a lot of money from the next 2 years, so it's important. And how we go from here is important because it breaks down barriers, and maybe Canadians will start to wake up as we all explore civics together. That's my video. I hope it helps. I hope to be of help, and good luck to those going forward. I think we got this. We just have to be careful where we go. And just everybody, if anything you took from this video, Chief Judge Eric F. Malgren, his YouTube video, well worth your time. Rule of Law. Watch it. It's phenomenal. Are there some portions it gets into the political? Sure, but he doesn't. And that's in the Constitution of Kansas. Did you know that every justice in the state of Kansas is not allowed to be a member or involved with any political organization? None whatsoever. They're not allowed. It's a beautiful thing, so it's a good thing. Check that out. He'll talk about that in the video. He'll go into a lot. Again, all the state constitutional powers of Kansas, all of these justices, every single one you're going to go through is from Kansas, is a bar from Kansas, is a master of the Kansas Constitution as well as the U.S. Federal Constitution. And there's where you're going to get the mix. There's where you're going to get the mix. And you can look at the Constitution of Kansas, the articles out of sections, or sections out of articles that I list. And there's much more than that. Take your time to read it. Know what you're getting into. It looks like a beautiful state, a great justice system. And truly, I believe that Newton's the one who's going to be in trouble. And if you go into more detail in the Constitution, you'll learn why. There's many things he's operating with. And Chief Judge Eric F. Malgren gets into democracy, autocracy, despotism. And again, this is only 3 weeks old. So if you ever wanted to watch something relevant to what we're going through right now, that's it. And that's a beautiful thing. I can reach out to real and pretty big experts all across the USA. But I think that video is impressive enough, and I think that really nails it home. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Bye now.